Nowruz. Nowruz is the Iranian or Persian New Year celebrated by various ethnicities worldwide. It is a festival based on the Iranian solar Hijri calendar, on the spring equinox, on or around the 21st of March on the Gregorian calendar. The day of Nowruz has its origins in the Iranian religion of Zoroastrianism and is thus rooted in the traditions of the Iranian peoples. However, it has been celebrated by diverse communities for over 3,000 years in Western Asia, Central Asia, the Caucasus, the Black Sea Basin, the Balkans, and South Asia. Presently, while it is largely a secular holiday for most celebrants and enjoyed by people of several different faiths and backgrounds, Nowruz remains a holy day for Zoroastrians, Baha'is, and some Muslim communities. As the spring equinox, Nowruz marks the beginning of spring in the northern hemisphere, i.e. the moment at which the sun crosses the celestial equator and equalizes night and day is calculated exactly every year. Traditional customs of Nowruz include fire and water, ritual dances, gift exchanges, reciting poetry, symbolic objects and more. These customs differ between the diverse peoples and countries that celebrate the festival. Overview. The first day of the Iranian calendar falls on the March equinox, the first day of spring, around the 21st of March. In the 11th century CE, the Iranian calendar was reformed in order to fix the beginning of the calendar year, i.e. Nowruz, at the vernal equinox. Accordingly, the definition of Nowruz given by the Iranian scientist Tusi was the following. The first day of the official new year, Nowruz, was always the day on which the sun entered Aries before noon. Nowruz is the first day of Farvardin, the first month of the Iranian solar calendar, which is the official calendar in use in Iran, and formerly in Afghanistan. While Nowruz has been celebrated since the reform of the Iranian calendar in the 11th century CE to mark the new year, the United Nations officially recognized the International Day of Nowruz, with the adoption of Resolution 64/253 by the United Nations General Assembly in February 2010. Etymology. The word Nowruz is a combination of Persian words now, meaning new, and ruz, meaning day. Pronunciation varies among Persian dialects, with Eastern dialects using the pronunciation news, Western dialects and Taranis, news. A variety of spelling variations for the word Nowruz exist in English language usage, including Nowruz, Novruz, Nowruz, Nowruz, Nowruz and Nowruz. Timing accuracy. Nowruz's timing is based on the vernal equinox. In Iran, it is the day of the new year in the solar Hijri algorithmic calendar, which is based on precise astronomical observations, and moreover use of sophisticated intercalation system, which makes it more accurate than its European counterpart, the Gregorian calendar. Each 2,820-year Great Grand Cycle contains 2,137 normal years of 365 days and 683 leap years of 366 days, with the average year length over the Great Grand Cycle 365.24219852. This average is just 0.00000026 of a day, slightly more than 1/50th of a second, shorter than Newcomb's value for the mean tropical year of 365.24219878 days, but differs considerably more from the current average vernal equinox year of 365.242362 days, which means that the new year, intended to fall on the vernal equinox, would drift by half a day over the course of a cycle. As the source explains, the 2,820-year cycle is erroneous and has never been used in practice. Chaharshanbe Suri. Chaharshanbe Suri, Persian. Romanized, Kahar Sanba Suri is a prelude to the new year. In Iran, it is celebrated on the eve of the last Wednesday before Nowruz. It is usually celebrated in the evening by performing rituals such as jumping over bonfires and lighting off firecrackers and fireworks. In Azerbaijan, where the preparation for Nowruz usually begins a month earlier, the festival is held every Tuesday during 4 weeks before the holiday of Nowruz. Each Tuesday, people celebrate the day of one of the 4 elements: water, fire, earth and wind. On the holiday eve, the graves of relatives are visited and tended. Iranians sing the poetic line, "My yellow is yours, your red is mine," which means, my weakness to you and your strength to me, to the fire during the festival, asking the fire to take away ill health and problems and replace them with warmth, health, and energy. Trail mix and berries are also served during the celebration. Spoon banging is a tradition observed on the eve of Chaharshanbe Suri, similar to the Halloween custom of trick or treating. In Iran, people wear disguises and go door to door banging spoons against plates or bowls and receive packaged snacks. In Azerbaijan, children slip around to their neighbors' homes and apartments on the last Tuesday prior to Nowruz, knock at the doors, and leave their caps or little basket on the thresholds, hiding nearby to wait for candies, pastries and nuts. The ritual of jumping over fire has continued in Armenia in the Feast of Trindes, which is a feast of purification in the Armenian Apostolic Church and the Armenian Catholic Church, celebrated 40 days after Jesus' birth. Sizdah Badar. In Iran, the Nowruz holidays last 13 days. On the 13th day of the new year, Iranians leave their houses to enjoy nature and picnic outdoors, as part of the Sizdah Badar ceremony. The greenery grown for the Haft-Sin setting is thrown away, usually into running water. It is also customary for young single people, especially young girls, to tie the leaves of the greenery before discarding it, expressing a wish to find a partner. Another custom associated with Sizda Badar is the playing of jokes and pranks, similar to April Fool's Day. History and origin. Ancient roots. There exist various foundation myths for Nowruz in Iranian mythology. The Shahnameh credits the foundation of Nowruz to the mythical Iranian king Jamshid, who saves mankind from a winter destined to kill every living creature. To defeat the killer winter, Jamshid constructed a throne studded with gems. He had demons raise him above the earth into the heavens. There he sat, shining like the sun. The world's creatures gathered and scattered jewels around him and proclaimed that this was the new day. This was the first day of Farvardin, which is the first month of the Iranian calendar. Although it is not clear whether Proto-Indo-Iranians celebrated a feast as the first day of the calendar, there are indications that Iranians may have observed the beginning of both autumn and spring, respectively related to the harvest and the sowing of seeds, for the celebration of the new year. Mary Boyce and France Grenet explain the traditions for seasonal festivals and comment. It is possible that the splendor of the Babylonian festivities at this season led the Iranians to develop their own spring festival into an established New Year feast, with the name Navasarda, New Year. Akitu was the Babylonian festivity held during the spring month of Nisan in which Nowruz falls. Since the communal observations of the ancient Iranians appear in general to have been seasonal ones and related to agriculture, it is probable that they traditionally held festivals in both autumn and spring, to mark the major turning points of the natural year. Nowruz is partly rooted in the tradition of Iranian religions, such as Mithraism and Zoroastrianism. In Mithraism, festivals had a deep linkage with the sun's light. The Iranian festivals such as Marigan, Turgan, and the Eve of Chel-yi-Zamestan also had an origin in the sun god. Among other ideas, Zoroastrianism is the first monotheistic religion that emphasizes broad concepts such as the corresponding work of good and evil in the world, and the connection of humans to nature. Zoroastrian practices were dominant for much of the history of ancient Iran. In Zoroastrianism, the 7 most important Zoroastrian festivals are the 6 Gahambar festivals and Nowruz, which occurs at the spring equinox. According to Mary Boyce, it seems a reasonable surmise that Nowruz, the holiest of them all, with deep doctrinal significance, was founded by Zoroaster himself, although there is no clear date of origin. Between sunset on the day of the 6th Gahambar and sunrise of Nowruz, Hamaspathamadiya was celebrated. This and the Gahambars are the only festivals named in the surviving text of the Avesta. The 10th century scholar Biruni, in his work Kitab al-Tafhim li Awil Sina al-Tanjim, provides a description of the calendars of various nations. Besides the Iranian calendar, various festivals of Greeks, Jews, Arabs, Sabians, and other nations are mentioned in the book. In the section on the Iranian calendar, he mentions Nowruz, Sadeh, Turgan, Mergan, the 6 Gahambars, Farvardigan, Bahmanya, Esfand Armaz and several other festivals. According to him, it is the belief of the Iranians that Nowruz marks the first day when the universe started its motion. The Persian historian Gardizi, in his work titled Zayn al-Akbar, under the section of the Zoroastrians' festivals, mentions Nowruz and specifically points out that Zoroaster highly emphasized the celebration of Nowruz and Mergan. Achaemenid period. Although the word Nowruz is not recorded in Achaemenid inscriptions, there is a detailed account by Xenophon of a Nowruz celebration taking place in Persepolis and the continuity of this festival in the Achaemenid tradition. Nowruz was an important day during the Achaemenid Empire. Kings of the different Achaemenid nations would bring gifts to the King of Kings. The significance of the ceremony was such that King Cambyses II's appointment as the King of Babylon was legitimized only after his participation in the referred annual Achaemenid festival. It has been suggested that the famous Persepolis complex, or at least the Palace of Apadana and the 100 Columns Hall, were built for the specific purpose of celebrating a feast related to Nowruz. In 539 BCE, the Jews came under Iranian rule, thus exposing both groups to each other's customs. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the story of Purim is told in the Book of Esther is adapted from an Iranian novella about the shrewdness of harem queens, suggesting that Purim may be an adoption of Iranian New Year. A specific novella is not identified and Encyclopedia Britannica itself notes that no Jewish texts of this genre from the Persian period are extant, so these new elements can be recognized only inferentially. Purim is celebrated the 14th of Adar, usually within a month before Nowruz, while Nowruz occurs at the spring equinox. It is possible that the Jews and Iranians of the time may have shared or adopted similar customs for these holidays. The Lunar New Year of the Middle East occurs on 1 Nisan, the new moon of the first month of spring, which usually falls within a few weeks of Nowruz. Parthian and Sasanian periods. Nowruz was the holiday of Parthian dynastic empires who ruled Iran and the other areas ruled by the Arsacid dynasties outside of Parthia. There are specific references to the celebration of Nowruz during the reign of Vologases I, but these include no details. Before Sasanians established their power in Western Asia around 300 CE, Parthians celebrated Nowruz in autumn, and the first of Farvardin began at the autumn equinox. During the reign of the Parthian dynasty, the spring festival was Marigan, a Zoroastrian and Iranian festival celebrated in honor of Mithra. Extensive records on the celebration of Nowruz appear following the accession of Ardashir I, the founder of the Sasanian Empire. Under the Sassanid emperors, Nowruz was celebrated as the most important day of the year. Most royal traditions of Nowruz, such as royal audiences with the public, cash gifts, and the pardoning of prisoners, were established during the Sassanid era and persisted unchanged until modern times. After the Arab-Muslim conquest, Nowruz, along with the midwinter celebration Sadeh, survived the Muslim conquest of Persia of 650 CE. Other celebrations such as the Gahambars and Mergan were eventually sidelined or only observed by Zoroastrians. Nowruz became the main royal holiday during the Abbasid period. Much like their predecessors in the Sasanian period, Deccans would offer gifts to the caliphs and local rulers at the Nowruz and Mergan festivals. Following the demise of the caliphate and the subsequent re-emergence of Iranian dynasties such as the Samanids and Buyids, Nowruz became an even more important event. The Buyids revived the ancient traditions of Sasanian times and restored many smaller celebrations that had been eliminated by the caliphate. The Iranian Buyid ruler, Adid al-Dawla, customarily welcomed Nowruz in a majestic hall, decked with gold and silver plates and vases full of fruit and colorful flowers. The king would sit on the royal throne, and the court astronomer would come forward, kiss the ground, and congratulate him on the arrival of the new year. The king would then summon musicians and singers, and invited his friends to gather and enjoy a great festive occasion. Later Turkic and Mongol invaders did not attempt to abolish Nowruz. In 1079 CE, during the Seljuk dynasty era, a group of 8 scholars led by astronomer and polymath Omar Khayyam calculated and established the Jalali calendar, computing the year starting from Nowruz. Contemporary era. Before the collapse of the Soviet Union, Iran and Afghanistan were the only countries that officially observed the ceremonies of Nowruz. When the Caucasian and Central Asian countries gained independence from the Soviets, they also declared Nowruz as a national holiday. Nowruz was added to the UNESCO list of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity in 2010. Holiday customs. House cleaning and shopping. House cleaning, or shaking the house, is commonly done before the arrival of Nowruz. People start preparing for Nowruz with a major spring cleaning of their homes and by buying new clothes to wear for the new year, as well as the purchase of flowers. The hyacinth and the tulip are popular and conspicuous. Visiting family and friends. During the Nowruz holidays, people are expected to make short visits to the homes of family, friends and neighbors. Typically, young people will visit their elders first, and the elders return their visit later. Visitors are offered tea and pastries, cookies, fresh and dried fruits and mixed nuts or other snacks. Many Iranians throw large Nowruz parties as a way of dealing with the long distances between groups of friends and family. Food preparation. One of the most common foods cooked on the occasion of Nowruz is samanu. This food is prepared using wheat germ. In most countries that celebrate Nowruz, this food is cooked. In some countries, cooking this food is associated with certain rituals. Women and girls in different parts of Iran, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan cook samanu in groups and sometimes during the night, and when cooking it, they sing memorable songs. Cooking other foods is also common on Nowruz. For example, sabzi polo with fish is eaten on Eid night and sweets such as nan-e-nokochi. In general, cooking Nowruz food is common in every region where Nowruz is celebrated, and each area has its food and sweets. Haft Sin. Typically, before the arrival of Nowruz, family members gather around the Haft Sin table and await the exact moment of the March equinox to celebrate the new year. The number 7 and the letter S are related to the 7 Ameshespantis as mentioned in the Zend Avesta. They relate to the 4 elements of fire, earth, air, water, and the 3 life forms of humans, animals and plants. In modern times, the explanation was simplified to mean that the Haft Sin are sabz, wheat, barley, mung bean, or lentil sprouts grown in a dish. Samanu, sweet pudding made from wheat germ. Persian olive. Vinegar. Apple. Garlic. Sumac. The Haft Sin table may also include a mirror, candles, painted eggs, a bowl of water, goldfish, coins, hyacinth, and traditional confectionaries. A book of wisdom, such as the Quran, Bible, Avesta, the Sanaim of Ferdowsi, or the Divan of Hafez may also be included. Haft Sin's origins are not clear. The practice is believed to have been popularized over the past 100 years. Haft Mewa. In Afghanistan, people prepare Haft Mewa for Nowruz, a mixture of 7 different dried fruits and nuts served in syrup. Concha. Concha is the traditional display of Nowruz in the Republic of Azerbaijan. It consists of a big silver or copper tray, with a tray of green, sprouting wheat in the middle and a dyed egg for each member of the family arranged around it. The table should be with at least 7 dishes. Amu Nowruz and Haji Firuz. In Iran, the traditional heralds of the festival of Nowruz are Amu Nowruz and Haji Firuz, who appear in the streets to celebrate the new year. Amu Nowruz brings children gifts, much like his counterpart Santa Claus. He is the husband of Nain Sarma, with whom he shares a traditional love story in which they can meet each other only once a year. He is depicted as an elderly silver-haired man with a long beard carrying a walking stick, wearing a felt hat, a long cloak of blue canvas, a sash, giva, and linen trousers. Haji Ferouz, a character with his face and hands covered in soot, clad in bright red clothes and a felt hat, is the companion of Ammu Nowruz. He dances through the streets while singing and playing the tambourine. In the traditional songs, he introduces himself as a serf trying to cheer people whom he refers to as his lords. Kamperak. In the folklore of Afghanistan, Kamperak and his retinue pass village by village, distributing gathered charities among people. He is an old, bearded man wearing colorful clothes with a long hat and rosary who symbolizes beneficence and the power of nature yielding the forces of winter. The tradition is observed in central provinces, especially Bamyan and Daikundi. Nowruz Kozha. In Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhs and Kyrgyz start the new year by cooking Nowruz Kozha or Nowruz Koz, a traditional drink. Locality. The festival of Nowruz is celebrated by many groups of people in the Black Sea Basin, the Balkans, the South Caucasus, Western Asia, Central and Southern Asia, and by Iranian peoples worldwide. Places where Nowruz is a public holiday include Afghanistan, Albania, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Iran, Iraqi Kurdistan, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, Kyrgyzstan, Bayan-Olgi, Mongolia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. Nowruz is celebrated by Kurds in Iraq and Turkey, as well as by the Iranis, Shias and Parsis in the Indian subcontinent and diaspora. Nowruz is also celebrated by Iranian communities in the Americas and in Europe, including Los Angeles, Phoenix, Toronto, Cologne and London. In Phoenix, Arizona, Nowruz is celebrated at the Persian New Year festival. But because Los Angeles is prone to devastating fires, there are very strict fire codes in the city. Usually, Iranians living in Southern California go to the beaches to celebrate the event where it is permissible to build fires. On the 15th of March 2010, the United States House of Representatives passed the Nowruz resolution, by a 384-2 vote, recognizing the cultural and historical significance of Nowruz. Afghanistan. Nowruz marks Afghanistan's New Year's Day with the solar Hijri calendar as their official calendar. In Afghanistan, the festival of Gul-i-Sirk is the principal festival for Nowruz. It is celebrated in Mazar-i-Sharif during the first 40 days of the year, when red tulips grow in the green plains and over the hills surrounding the city. People from all over the country travel to Mazar-i-Sharif to attend the Nowruz festivals. Buzkashi tournaments are held during the Gul-i-Sirk festival in Mazar-i-Sharif, Kabul and other northern Afghan cities. Jahenda Bala is celebrated on the first day of the new year. It is a religious ceremony performed at the Blue Mosque of Mazar-i-Sharif by raising a special banner resembling the Daraj Kaviani royal standard. It is attended by high-ranking government officials such as the vice president, ministers, and provincial governors and is the biggest recorded Nowruz gathering, with up to 200,000 people from all over Afghanistan attending. In the Festival of Deccan, also celebrated on the first day of the new year, farmers walk in the cities as a sign of encouragement for the agricultural production. In recent years, this activity only happens in Kabul and other major cities where the mayor and other government officials attend. During the first 2 weeks of the new year, the citizens of Kabul hold family picnics in Istalif, Charakar and other green places where redbuds grow. During the Taliban regime of 1996 to 2001, Nowruz was banned as an ancient pagan holiday centered on fire worship. In March 2022, the Taliban said that Nowruz would not be a public holiday that year, although allowed celebrations to take place. Albania. Nowruz is celebrated annually in Albania on the 22nd of March as Sultan Nowruz. In Albania, the festival commemorates the birthday of Ali ibn Abi Talib and simultaneously the advent of spring. It is prominent amongst the nation's Bektashis, but adherents of Sunnism, Catholicism, and Orthodoxy also share in the Nowruz festival to respect the ecumenical spirit of Albania. Armenia. Since the 19th century, Nowruz has not generally been celebrated by Armenians and is not a public holiday in Armenia. However, it is celebrated in Armenia by tens of thousands of Iranian tourists who visit Armenia with relative ease. The influx of tourists from Iran accelerated since around 2010-11. In 2010 alone, around 27,600 Iranians spent Nowruz in capital Yerevan. In 2015, President Serge Sarkisyan sent a letter of congratulations to Kurds living in Armenia and to the Iranian political leadership on the occasion of Nowruz. Azerbaijan. In Azerbaijan, Nowruz celebrations go on for several days and included festive public dancing and folk music, and sporting competitions. In rural areas, crop holidays are also marked. Communities of the Azerbaijani diaspora also celebrate Nowruz in the US, Canada, and Israel. Bangladesh. Nowruz is generally not celebrated by Bangladeshis, but it is widely celebrated by the country's Shia Muslims. It continues to be celebrated regularly in Dhaka, Chittagong, Rajshahi and Khulna. During the Mughal period, Nowruz was celebrated for 19 days with pomp and gaiety. Shia Muslims in Bangladesh have been seen spraying water around their home and drinking that water to keep themselves protected from diseases. A congregation to seek divine blessing is also arranged. Members of the Nawab family of Dhaka used to celebrate it amid pomp and grandeur. In the evening, they used to float thousands of candle lights in nearby ponds and water bodies. The national poet Qazi Nazrul Islam, also a Sunni, portrayed a vivid sketch of the festival highlighting its various aspects. In his poem, he described it as a platform of exposing a youth's physical and mental beauty to another opposite one for conquering his or her heart. Central Asia. Nowruz, widely celebrated on a vast territory of Central Asia, and ritual practice acquired its special features. The festival was legitimized by prayers at mosques, and visits to the mazars of Muslim saints and to sacred streams. In the Emirate of Bukhara, a broad official celebration of Nowruz was started by Emir Muzaffar, who sought to strengthen the image of the Mangite dynasty during the crisis of political legitimacy. Currently, all 5 Central Asian countries celebrate Nowruz as a public holiday. China. Traditionally, Nowruz is celebrated mainly in China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region by the Uyghurs, Chinese Tajik, Salar, and Kazakh ethnicities. Georgia. Nowruz is not celebrated by Georgians, but it is widely celebrated by the country's large Azerbaijani minority as well as by Iranians living in Georgia. Every year, large festivities are held in the capital Tbilisi, as well as in areas with a significant number of Azerbaijanis, such as the Kavemo Kartli, Kakheti, Shida Kartli, and Moundaskeda Mtianeti regions. Georgian politicians have attended the festivities in the capital over the years, and have congratulated the Nowruz observing ethnic groups and nationals in Georgia on the day of Nowruz. India. The Parsi community of India observe the New Year using the Shahanshahi calendar, which does not account for leap years, meaning this holiday has now moved by 200 days from its original day of the vernal equinox. In India, the Parsi New Year is celebrated around the 16th to the 17th of August. Tradition of Nowruz in northern India dates back to the Mughal Empire. The festival was celebrated for 19 days with pomp and gaiety in the realm. However, it further goes back to the Parsi Zoroastrian community in western India, who migrated to the Indian subcontinent from Persia during the Muslim conquest of Persia of 636 to 651 CE. In the princely state of Hyderabad, Nowruz was one of the 4 holidays where the Nizam would hold a public darbar, along with the 2 official Islamic holidays and the sovereign's birthday. Prior to Asaf Jahi rule in Hyderabad, the Qutbi Shahi dynasty celebrated Nowruz with a ritual called Panjari, and the festival was celebrated by all with great grandeur. Qazi Nazrul Islam, during the Bengal Renaissance, portrayed the festival with vivid sketch and poems, highlighting its various aspects. Iran. Nowruz is a 2-week celebration that marks the beginning of the new year in Iran's official solar Hijri calendar. The celebration includes 4 public holidays from the 1st to the 4th day of Farvardin, the first month of the Iranian calendar, usually beginning on the 21st of March. On the eve of Nowruz, the fire festival Shaharshanbe Suri is celebrated. Following the 1979 revolution, some radical elements from the Islamic government attempted to suppress Nowruz, considering it a pagan holiday and a distraction from Islamic holidays. Nowruz has been politicized, with political leaders making annual Nowruz speeches. Kurdish communities. Nowruz is largely considered as a potent symbol of Kurdish identity. The Kurds of Turkey celebrate this feast between 18 and the 21st of March. Kurds gather into fairgrounds mostly outside the cities to welcome spring. Women wear colored dresses and spangled headscarves, and young men wave flags of green, yellow and red, the historic colors of Kurdish people. They hold this festival by lighting fire and dancing around it. Nowruz has seen many bans in Turkey, as Turkey has a strong and long history of trying to suppress Kurdish history and culture. It has only been celebrated legally since 1992 after the ban on the Kurdish language was lifted. The holiday is now officially allowed in Turkey after international pressure on the Turkish government to lift culture bans. The Turkish government renamed the holiday Nowruz in 1995. However, Nowruz celebrations are still suppressed and lead to continual confrontations with the Turkish authority. In Cizre, Nusaybin and Cernak celebrations turned violent as Turkish police forces fired in the celebrating crowds. In recent years, the Nowruz celebration summons around 1 million participants in Diyarbakir, the biggest city of the Kurdish-dominated southeastern Turkey. In Syria, the Kurds dress up in their national dress and celebrate the new year. According to Human Rights Watch, the Kurds have had to struggle to celebrate Nowruz, and in the past the celebration has led to violent oppression, leading to several deaths and mass arrests. The Syrian Arab Ba'athist government stated in 2004 that the Nowruz celebrations will be tolerated as long as they do not become political demonstrations. During the Nowruz celebrations in 2008, 3 Kurds were shot dead by Syrian security forces. In March 2010, an attack by Syrian police killed 2 or 3 people, one of them a 15-year-old girl, and more than 50 people were wounded. The Rojava Revolution of 2012 and the subsequent establishment of the de facto autonomous administration of North and East Syria saw Kurdish civil rights greatly expand, and Nowruz is now celebrated freely in most Kurdish areas of Syria except for Afrin, where the ritual is no longer allowed since the 2018 occupation by Turkish-backed rebel groups. Kurds in Iraq and Iran have had more freedom to celebrate Nowruz than their countrymen of Syria and Turkey. Kurds in the diaspora also celebrate the New Year. For example, Kurds in Australia celebrate Nowruz not only as the beginning of the New Year, but also as the Kurdish National Day. Similarly, the Kurds in Finland celebrate the New Year as a way of demonstrating their support for the Kurdish cause. Also in London, organizers estimated that 25,000 people celebrated Nowruz during March 2006. In Canada, the largest Kurdish Nowruz festival is held in Ontario. In the States, the city of Nashville, Tennessee includes the largest Kurdish population in the United States. The Kurds celebrate Nowruz by holding a Nashville festival. Dressed in their traditional clothing, they sing and dance around a fire with their family and friends. Pakistan. In Pakistan, Nowruz is typically celebrated in parts of Gilgit-Baltistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, especially near the border with Afghanistan, and across Baluchistan, with a large celebration held in the capital of Quetta. Recently, the government of Iran has participated in hosting celebrations in Islamabad to commemorate the holiday. Like in India, the Parsi and Ismaili communities have historically celebrated the holiday, as have some Shia Muslims. Theology. Followers of the Zoroastrian faith include Nowruz in their religious calendar, as do followers of other faiths. Shia literature refers to the merits of the day of Nowruz. The day of Qadr took place on Nowruz, and the fatwas of major Shia scholars recommend fasting. Nowruz is also a holy day for Sufis, Bektashis, Ismailis, Alawites, Alevis, Babis and adherents of the Baha'i faith. Baha'i faith. Nowruz is one of 9 holy days for adherents of the Baha'i faith worldwide. It is the first day of the Baha'i calendar, occurring on the vernal equinox around the 21st of March. The Baha'i calendar is composed of 19 months, each of 19 days, and each of the months is named after an attribute of God. Similarly, each of the 19 days in the month also are named after an attribute of God. The first day and the first month were given the attribute of Baha, an Arabic word meaning splendor or glory, and thus the first day of the year was the day of Baha in the month of Baha. Baha'u'llah, the founder of the Baha'i faith, explained that Nowruz was associated with the most great name of God, and was instituted as a festival for those who observed the 19-day fast. The day is also used to symbolize the renewal of time in each religious dispensation. Abdul Baha, Baha'u'llah's son and successor, explained that significance of Nowruz in terms of spring and the new life it brings. He explained that the equinox is a symbol of the messengers of God and the message that they proclaim is like a spiritual springtime, and that Nowruz is used to commemorate it. As with all Baha'i holy days, there are few fixed rules for observing Nowruz, and Baha'is all over the world celebrate it as a festive day, according to local custom. Persian Baha'is still observe many of the Iranian customs associated with Nowruz, such as the Haft Sin, but American Baha'i communities, for example, may have a potluck dinner, along with prayers and readings from Baha'i scripture. Twelver and Ismaili Shias. Along with Ismailis, Alawites and Alevis, the Twelver Shia also hold the day of Nowruz in high regard. It has been said that Musa al-Qadim, the 7th Twelver Shia Imam, has explained Nowruz and said, "In Nowruz God made a covenant with his servants to worship him and not to allow any partner for him. To welcome his messengers and obey their rulings. This day is the first day that the fertile wind blew and the flowers on the earth appeared. The archangel Gabriel appeared to the prophet, and it is the day that Abraham broke the idols. The day Prophet Muhammad held Ali on his shoulders to destroy the Qurayshi's idols in the house of God, the Kaaba. The day upon which Nowruz falls has been recommended as a day of fasting for Twelver Shia Muslims by Shia scholars, including Abu al-Qasim al-Khoi, Ruhollah Khomeini and Ali al-Sistani. The day also assumes special significance for Shias, as it has been said that it was on the 16th of March 632 AD, that the first Shia Imam, Ali, assumed the office of caliphate. Shia Imami Ismaili Muslims around the globe celebrate Nowruz as a religious festival. Special prayers and mayalish are arranged in jamikhanas. Special foods are cooked and people share best wishes and prayers with each other.